welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome back to another episode of The Wise Club. We're so happy to have you here. Hope you're getting ready for a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. If you're new here, please allow me to introduce myself. We'll let the ladies introduce themselves, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. For anyone who doesn't know me, hi, I am Maggie, a former wife of 10 years. And in 2021, I booked a session with the late, great Kevin Samuels. Not for me. I am well aware and accept that I am average, but I always had a conviction whenever he would ask, where are the older women to teach the young? And so I wanted to build a community of like-minded and marriage-minded women, but I wanted to do it within the privacy of his Patreon group. So I'm so grateful. Not only did Kevin give us his permission, he actually came up with the name The Wise Club. So what we do each week is we use Kevin's shows as a lesson plan to talk about what we've gotten right, what we've gotten wrong, helping the community, helping ourselves, improving our image, all of that stuff that Kevin was passionate about. So it started with just me, and then AV joined us in the Wives Club. Unfortunately, she's unable to be with us this week, but she is coming back next week. And then Lisa joined us in the Wives Club. Lisa, please introduce yourself.
Good, excuse me. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lisa. I am a current wife of 17 years. My husband and I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I was a big fan of Kevin's when he was with us, part of his Patreon. Um, just wanting to, move the conversation forward and keep everything going. So I'm happy to be back for another wonderful week.
All right, fantastic. And then after Lisa joined us in the Wives Club, Hermisha joined us. Hermisha, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hermisha. As you all know, I represent as a former wife and happy to get into the next topic today. So let's get into it.
All right, and then lastly, our special guest, but she's family now, Miss Lucy. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Lucy Lucasely, also known as Lucasely 20. I'm a current wife for 15 years, and I'm also a former wife for 11 years. So I think that together, I think I have a little bit of an experience with being a wife, I think.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'm going to kick this off and then we're going to take our laps around. I'm traveling for the Memorial Day weekend, but I could not miss this chance to connect with the ladies and connect with you all. So, tonight's episode, and we always put it in the description, Kevin Samuels, the late, great Kevin Samuels, had an episode called Modern Women Need New Jobs. So, we have an agenda. Please continue to engage with us in the chat. And then, after we go through we have 5 points today, then we'd love to bring you all up if you want to chat with us or respond to your questions in the chat. All right, so modern women need new jobs. And as he was known to do, Kevin's episode titles would always be very striking and would get your attention. So this episode premiered after the pandemic, and there was a phenomenon called the Great She Session. And Kevin, like he always did, kind of put his finger on this to really snatch us out of it and get our attention as far as those of us modern women that have sworn by our careers and everything that we think is so beneficial to us, something just like that could change your life. And he really had us thinking about the effort that we put into work, into making someone else's family successful or our own family successful. So the first topic that we have today, and I'll take a stab at it, let me pull it up for you all, and it's always in the description as well as the link. If you haven't seen this video, please watch it. So the question is, what do modern women in the danger zone, I presume, have to lose if they don't get a new job? So if you're new to Kevin Samuel's content, he compartmentalized the different phases of life for women. So he says from, I believe it was 27 to 35. Women in that time frame, not me, I'm past the wall, I'm 47. He called it the danger zone because he said women in this age group really needed to move with their hair on fire because you are coming towards the end of the window for being really, first choice for marriage and family, which is the reason men usually choose wives. So the question is, what do women have to lose if they don't get a new job? So the new job that Kevin was proposing was, instead of working for decades and decades for a corporation or some other job that you thought was a career, what if we took that skill? What if we took those learnings? What if we took some of that intellectual capital that we're just giving away for a paycheck, and instead, in service to our men and the family that we're building to support the community, use those skills, whether it's social media, whether it was paperwork, whether it was networking. So, um, to answer the question, because Kevin said, and I believe this, men choose us because of our usefulness to them. And we have to think about that, ladies. It's not just can we smile pretty, but how are we coming in and being a helpmate to this man? So if you don't partner your usefulness with the youth and beauty that you still may have at 27 to 35, I would say you run the risk of not being chosen and being on the outside looking in, because there's always going to be competition. Even those of us who have a man understand we always have to compete. All right, so that would be my first answer to this question. Lisa, I'm going to come to you. What do modern women in the danger zone have to lose if they don't get a new job?
Hi. Well, I think what you have to lose if you don't get a new job is, I mean, you're going to lose your youth, you're going to lose your energy. And as someone who is 44 with a 5-year old, I can I can tell y'all that by the time you get to 44, up in the 40s, your energy, because I'm like, oh man, I used to love what I used to do in my 20s. I had so much energy, 20 and 30s. But I'm thankful to have my 5-year old, but I really would have been happier to have her at a younger age, because it does start to catch up on with you. And luckily, I have my husband with me, and he can, his energy goes on quite a bit longer than mine. So, but we work with what we have. But I would say the energy, I look back and think how much energy I put into, my work and what I did for other companies and stuff, that just kind of, I was just a number on a spreadsheet. And when they were done with me, they were happy to say bye, or here's a severance package or whatever. So I would say my family benefits more from getting that energy out of me in my youth or the time you have, because it will catch up to you. And then also, the other stuff that goes along with it. So I would say you definitely have that to lose, especially if you're in the danger zone. So really, he wasn't lying when he was saying, like, get your hair on fire, everything on fire, and, you know, get on a man's program. So if that's the best way I can answer that question for now.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And Condemned, I saw the comment. Please let me know if the audio is better. Hermisha, I am coming to you. The question is, what do modern women in the danger zone have to lose if they don't get a new job?
Yes, this is a really good question. You know, I think that when we think about our purpose as a woman in that framework, and then I think about job, I mean, we can talk about what types of jobs look like, but in this context, we're talking about, essentially the role as a wife and getting on a man's program. And, we know our purpose as women is to be a helpmate. And so I would say, I would frame it for me personally, what do we lose? You lose fully walking in your purpose, fully walking in your purpose as a woman, as a helpmate. Again, that's not to say that, women don't work outside the home or things of that nature, but if you are in the danger zone, and, as Kevin would say, I believe that was between 27 and 35, and he would say that that's the time where you need to move with urgency. I think he would say, like, your hair's on fire. And so that you got to be really, really focused and strategic, because the longer you stay on the market, ladies, the reality is our value on the marketplace goes down. And so if that's true, then if you frame it in your role as a wife or as a helpmate, then you're out of alignment in your purpose as well. So I would say that's a big thing to lose. That's a big thing to gamble. You don't want to be out here lollygagging, wasting time, hot girl summering in it, or, summer's around the corner. you know, getting multiple degrees. And this is one coming from one who's got a master's, and at some point I'll finish my PhD. And actually, side note, to be honest, I'm debating on whether I want to finish that. Is it really a necessity? Do I want to pour 3 more years into writing a dissertation? you know, and I'm actually weighing that. And so you really have to look at, is what I'm doing in alignment with my purpose as a woman created in the image of God? And if you don't believe that, is what I'm doing in alignment in my purpose as a woman, period. And if it's not, then how can you get into alignment to focus like laser to do what you know you need to do to survive in this world, to couple with a man, and to walk fully in what you're being called to do as a woman? So that's what I would say.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, Miss Lucy, I am coming to you. The question is, what do modern women in the danger zone have to lose if they don't get a new job?
That's a great question. I think I usually, when those questions come up, I look at reality, my reality. What am I looking at work? I see a lot of women, single mothers going into work very stressed. The mental health is up to here because they're the ones carrying both the load of the dad and the mom. So I'm thinking mental health, physical. Are you taking care of, with your stress? I've seen a lot of these ladies are drinking a lot, drinking more over the weekend, having just that stress. Taking just the alcohol takes away some of that stress, and and as Kevin said before, shoulders are meant for stress. Men are meant to have that amount of stress. We are supposed to be at home taking care of a different type of stress. The home, just caring for the kids, making sure everything is okay. If we're working with them, then caring, doing the accounting for them, making sure that insurance is done, and so forth. So I think that there's a lot to lose when you don't have your purpose as a wife, as a woman of the house. So, and you also have to come into a relationship with a faithful heart and a heart of good faith, knowing that the man that you're going to marry comes in with you, wanting to care for you, wanting to do as much as possible for you to take that stress away. So I think that that's to begin with. I think is the mental and physical health. You give up a lot when you're doing it on your own.
Absolutely. Another way of saying that. Thank you so much, Lucy. We're better together, you all. I believe this. And I'm one of those that got caught up. I was married at 25 to my college boyfriend. Absolutely loved being married. Was married for 10 years. Have 2 sons from marriage, so I don't regret it. However, I thought I was just like a man. I could do everything a man can do until I hit the wall. And what I've realized, and take it from an older woman, at 47, you don't have that same gusto that I had at 27. So we are not equal, we are equally valued. But just like Lucy said, I think it's beautiful when we have our strengths that a man doesn't have. He has his strengths that we don't have, and we work together. But it's already getting good, ladies. All right, let's go to number 2 on the agenda. The question is there a fear or risk to get a new job or work for your man? And I would say yes, but I would offer that working for your man or with your man or however you want to say it is so much better in the long run. And I raise my hand and say I was one of those that was short-sighted. So, a lot of us, like Hermisha so graciously shared with us, she's coming up on the end of her PhD, and, I'm an MBA as well. And it's like we put all of this work into all of this schooling. And I see your comment, Sinji. There's nothing wrong with working. There's nothing wrong with education. But when we think about the short game versus the long game, I think that's where we as older women can provide that counsel. What ends up happening, and I come from academia. Both of my parents are PhDs. I'm an MBA, but I never lead with that. What happens oftentimes with women, with men and women, when you've invested so much into that degree or that advanced degree, either you're in debt, or you feel like even if you don't have debt, I don't have debt, I've done all this work, it needs to be worth something. So then you enter into the workforce to make all of that schooling worth it. And a lot of women get caught up in that just rat race. And like Lucy said, just go, go, go. And then you look up one day and you're in your early to mid 30s and you're like, I don't love it as much as I thought I would. Can I do this for 30, 35 more years? And that's the wall that I hit. And I said, I don't want to do this until I'm 65. So when you work with a man, one, if you've chosen well, which is why I would argue we don't need a hot girl summer, not just for the experience, but for the time it takes up in your selection. If marriage and family is important to you, we are the Wives Club, because I believe whether you are currently married, formerly married, or want to be married, we should carry ourselves like wives, and wives move differently. So if you're interested in casual relationships, that's fine over there. If you're not really interested in marriage and family, that's fine over there. But here, we want to help those that are really interested in it. So my long-winded version of saying yes, there's a fear because you feel like, as a woman, I felt like the work that I did in marriage and family paled in comparison to those certificates on the wall, that promotion, those big degrees. But what I've realized in my older age is that was momentary. And with all of my accolades now, the proudest thing that I have is being a wife and a mother, or former wife and a mother. All right, so that's my take on it. Lisa, I'm going to come to you. The question is there a fear or a risk to get a new job or work for your man?
Absolutely, there's a fear. That's what I wrote on my paper. Fear, fear, fear. I think the biggest fear, and even for me, is the fear of trust. Putting all your trust, not to say putting all your eggs in one basket, but I mean, I was like scared that I was like, this is who I'm giving my, I'm committed to this person. But I think all the fear of like, is he going to cheat on me? Is he going to do this on me? And I think a lot of the fear, if we didn't grow up with a father or have a lot of male figures in our life, we don't really, and if the ones we do have in our life are, bad relationships, our examples and stuff, then we're really, there's also a fear there. I mean, even for myself, I had a few bad relationships before I met my husband. I was like, no, but also I didn't want a certain type of guy until my dad told me different. And so also having that father or some figure in your life that can say, look up and down at this guy, check him out, whatever men do, having, say, okay, he's stand up or whatever. So I can understand that fear and I see it every day. I'm just like, um, if they got past the fear and they had better examples, I really think that's a big part of it, I think, from what I see. Um, and being able to identify the good man. And the other thing I would say is, like for myself, what Kevin would call an IKEA marriage, where you kind of build with him along the way and you kind of reap the benefits as y'all, 5, 10 years down the road. You might start working together. Then you have a kid, then you stop working, he takes over, you're inspiring him to do more and more, and he starts advancing his career. So IKEA marriage is not a bad kind of marriage. And let's say 5, 10 years into the marriage, you might be sitting pretty. I don't know, but you got to inspire him, and that's what he's talking about when we're feminine, fit. I lost my train of thought. But what the FBI? So if you're inspiring your man, you're being feminine, and all those things, he's coming home, and you're making the home a hearth and everything he wants. So that's like I think Lucy said, that's our power is not to deal with the stress, is to kind of alleviate that for our family, for our husband. So make it welcoming. So after they're out there slaying the dragon, they have all this peace to come to, and that's what we're here to provide. And it provides peace for us because I feel like, at least I feel for myself, that once you get into that position and you like, I like it here. I think a lot of us have mentioned like we like being home. Like Maggie said, she when she had to stop working for the COVID or whatever, and to work from home, you find that this is where you want to be. So that's the best way I could put it. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Hermisha, I am coming to you. The question is there a fear or a risk to get a new job or work for your man?
There is a fear in general that I've observed, not for myself, I would say to answer myself, no, that's everything I actually desired. Um, and here I am on the other side of that. But I do think it's a legit fear for women today because, clinical hat on, a lot of women have not seen healthy uh, uh, family relationships, and so they're coming into the marketplace or even into marriage with this fear that you're going to control me, you're going to abuse me, and Kevin hit on it. I think he called it the color purpling of America, if you will. So the idea of working for your man, why? He's going to control me. I'm going to be his slave. And it's just this fear-based disposition. And it automatically coming in with that mindset, you're already creating this friction and this assumption that's gonna cause you to be combative to your husband or disagreeable or pushing back. And then there can't be any sort of um, um, synergy or flow, if you will, or peace rather in the home, right? Because you have somebody operating from a place of fear, and that's oftentimes what they saw growing up. Mama having unhealthy relationships, choosing men who were abusive, and that left an imprint or whatnot, right? Or so I would just say that unfortunately, I am seeing a lot of women. Uh, who I think it's good for us ladies to lean into the work and if that means humbling ourselves to therapy to just kind of dig deeper into those things that may be showing up in the present day that may be impacting your dating relationships. I just really want to encourage that, and Kevin would promote therapy, coaching, all the things. So to get on the other side of the fear and not allow the fear to keep you on the market forever and a day. So that's what I would say. The other point I wanted to say on this is, I think Sinji, thank you, Centennial G. I'm wrestling with finishing, but I know my girls are watching me, so I'm going to finish because I teach them to finish what you start. I wrestle with that because when I started my PhD, I was under the same roof and a family unit, right? And so being on the other side of that, I'm like, oh, what's the point now? I thought that was actually going to help my family, and so now it feels like it's more of a burden because I'm here on the other side with two girls having to work multiple hours and then finish this degree. So that's why it's a struggle. So, but our girls are watching, and I want to be able to practice what I preach. So the fighter in me is going to probably finish it. So to that point, but anyway.
All right, Miss Lucy, I am going to come to you. The question is there a fear to work for your man?
As for Misha, I never came into my marriage with that fear because I had very good role models. My mom and dad have been married for 57 years. My grandma and grandpa had been married before they died. I had never seen marriages that were broken or families that were broken. But I do see that in this country, there is that sense that if a woman goes into a marriage, you can easily get out of it with divorce. Whereas in our countries, in old countries, divorce was something that it didn't happen unless it was something, like, physical abuse or anything really, really bad. But here, because we make the separation so easily, it's easy to have that as the option. And Hermisha, I love you for saying that you were double thinking about the PhD. Now that I see Sinji's message, that it's also good to see the return on investment that you're going to get. And you got to think, and it's okay for your daughters also to see that at a point you decided that this was not going to be good financially or in the long run, it wasn't going to pay off. So you have two options. So, PhDs are hard, masters are hard. When I was going to go for my master's after I completed my bachelor's, my husband sat down with me and gave me the list of things that I would have to give up or the amount of money that I would have to put in to go work, to say that I had a master's for what? For not for much. The salaries do not go up too much depending on where you go. But anyway, so Hermisha, thank you for sharing that, again, that vulnerability. And I'll pray for you to make the right decision. So going back to the fear part, is that a lot of also ladies, young ladies, have seen the fear through TV, through the media, through entertainment, even without having lived it. They hear it in social media by other people instead of saying, really, is this truly what's going on? What's going to happen when I marry a man that my dad is going to vet for me? So I think, yes, but I think that we can also try to change that perspective around to say, no, it's okay to be skeptical a little bit, but if you trust the man that you're going to be married with and you respect him, I think what he does for you is always going to be for your good. Always.
I love that. Thank you so much, Lucy, and thank you, Hermisha. The transparency, it warms my heart because this is what I envisioned, and I think what's lacking in our community is often the older women teaching the young is not about you should do this. I firmly believe it's this is what I did and this is what it cost me. Everything in life, Kevin often used to say that choices and trade offs, right? So everyone's going to have to live their own life. But I think if we're honest that, you know what, I made this decision and it delayed this part of my life by 5 years or 7 years, it's just giving that full picture. And hopefully the young people are listening and can remember that, right? Train up a child. And I also love what Lucy just said about seeing that fear in social media. How many times did Kevin say that? A lot of times, young women, like under 25, would call into his show and they would be talking about all these bad relationship experiences. And he would say, "How old are you? When was your longest relationship?" And it wasn't anything that they had actually lived. So words are so powerful, y'all. This is so good. All right, the third one, and we have five. Are modern women self aware enough to know that they need to work with a man? I'm going to answer this one as a big fat no. I think the experience that I had, unfortunately, is too common. But I don't blame a lot of younger women because it is that programming, right? We've talked about this previously. This consumer culture that we're in drives us to want more, which means it drives people to work harder. So instead of having a breadwinner role, a support system, and a family that's looked after, you now have two breadwinners trying to make decisions. And we know that doesn't work, believe me. So, what I think, whether it's the culture we live in or co-ed schools or just, everybody's equal, we can do what that other person can do. Like I said, I think we're equally valued, but clearly I'm not a man. I don't want to be a man. We're very, very different, but I have strengths where he may be weak and he has strengths where I'm definitely weak. So I don't think modern women are self-aware enough. I think they hit their own wall, and whether or not it's age or whether or not it's all that schooling and I have this debt and then this job that I have, it's not really paying me what I thought it would, or I have this big title, but I've got long hours and no social life because I got to be on call. Everybody has a moment where they start really self-reflecting, and then the self-awareness comes in and they're like, oh, shoot, I don't know if I made the right decision for where I really want to be. So that's what we're hoping to do here and course correct while there's still time. So I would answer that as a no, but Lisa, I am going to come to you. The question is, are modern women self-aware enough to know that they need to work with a man?
Yes, I love this question because I think no, they're not self-aware enough. But what the thing I love about Kevin's show and watching his episodes is even for myself. When I started watching Kevin, I was like, oh, that was me when I was 22. I did that when I was in college. Start to become aware, and I think even for people now, when you see that, you start seeing yourself in the stories he tells or the examples he gives or when he gives his monologues. And for me, I said, I see myself, I see my sisters, I see my college friends and stuff, and all the stuff we went through. I see my coworkers that I've worked with in the past. I see everybody. I see everybody every day. I see my daughter, what she might have to go through in the near future and stuff. So I think the gift that Kevin gave us, now that he's gone, is that we can rewatch this and keep sharing the information, and like we're doing now, talking about it and reviewing it. But that's the to answer that question. Yes, they don't. Lost my train of thought. They don't. They don't see it, but Kevin has given us a wealth of stuff. So I hope that the young people and anybody that's just looking for the help continues to watch his videos and start seeing the the information and how they can use it to make their outcomes even better. So thank you.
Welcome. All right, Hermisha, I am coming to you. The question is, are modern women self-aware enough to know that they need to work with a man?
I wish we were. Like I said last week, I need a man, y'all. I'm not sounding thirsty. Well, I'm not thirsty. I'm not parched. I drink my water. But you know what I mean? Like I said, going back to the value of a man. And I think, one thought I had off the top was, I wonder why women are not seeing this as a necessity. Maybe this is controversial. A lot of women got men in rotations. They got a man for everything. I got the maintenance man. I got this man. I got that man. I can get attention from this man. I can get attention from that man. And so then it's sort of like your man tank is kind of filled up, and you don't see a necessity of the value of one man in your life and a husband, because you got all these different men orbiting in the planet system of the solar system, right? And so, but what if you starved yourself from the attention of these men that you don't need, and then you really see that you need a man? And then when you see that you need a man for your protection, provision, and your covering, then you can recognize, I'm not built to go at this alone. I don't have a retirement plan. I'm not trying to do this 40, 50 plus, 60 plus, right? I need to get it together. And oftentimes this is the saddest thing I'm starting to see, that women are starting to wake up, but it's almost like it's too late. And then women have to learn to manage expectations, because what they wanted in a man, like we talked about last week, and I love what Lisa said last week. She said 80% is better than zero. Getting 80% of what you want is better than getting nothing, right? And so I just think that we don't see, as women, the value of a man in general. We're not even talking about high value, just a value of a man, like we talked about last week, because we have men orbiting around us, so we feel like we're getting all this attention. And then we stay on the market too long, and then we look up, we're like, oh, and then you want to bring those same expectations and what you think you should get from a man, when you really should be managing expectations, moving like your hair is on fire, especially women. 25 to 37, danger zone. Y'all need to move, make a deal, get off this market, right? Be smart. And so I don't want to go on a tangent, but we don't see the necessity of that because we're distracted, is what I'm saying. And I think we need to focus and remove distractions and starve yourself from random attention from men, and get focused and manage expectations and do what you need to do, because it's not when you just look at the numbers, if I may, it's going to be hard for you to retire on 40,000 to 50,000 a year, period. Just do the math. The numbers don't lie, ladies. Look at the numbers. You're not going to make it alone if you're making less than 50 grand. I would even say 60 grand. It's because you're going to end up working in your 60s and 70s. Do you want to do that? Listen, I'm 40. I look good. I take care of myself. I have a job. Probably going to finish my PhD. But listen, I'm not trying to be working like that at 41 plus. I'm 40 now. I'm 41. How about 40 and a half? Take me off the market now.
Okay, I'm trying not to get choked up
Claim it, Hermisha. Claim
Oh,
it.
okay. Woo. All right. Talk about not being thirsty. I almost choked down the wine. But Miss Lucy, I am coming to you. I see you all's comments. Thank you. Thank you. I'm loving the conversation. Definitely going to bring them up and I'm starring them. So, Miss Lucy, your turn. The question was, are modern women self-aware enough to know that they need to work with a man?
I don't think they are. Unfortunately, modern society has taught women that men are the enemy. And they already come in with that idea that for whatever reason, this man is coming to hurt me. This man is going to do something to me that even though I've never lived it, I see it on TV, and this is what's going to happen. Um, I heard somebody say not too long ago, um, men and women have equal dignity, but are not the same. So it's important to embrace who we are as women. It's the men are not our enemy. They want to take care of us. Again, I've said it before, they want to be our heroes. And if a man wants to take you from a regular job to make your home and creating the home for him your job, why not? Who would be the best person to care for your children than the mother of your child? So I think that we need to start deprogramming the young generation about men are these evil things that that has made that have made this world for us. How do you see that they're evil? Because of what the news show you? Of course they're going to show you everything bad about something that they want to separate us, because they want the labor force larger. If you want a man, if you have a man and a woman working, you have bigger consumerism, you have more people working for those corporations. So I think Kevin said, if all the working women were to quit tomorrow, the labor force would suffer. The men would have to be paid higher because the women are working at home and not in labor and not at their corporations. So we need to make our younger generation understand that our men are here to be the strength for us and not to be our adversary.
I absolutely love that. And we're going to come to number 4. We have 5 today, but I have to shout him out. You all know him and you love him. $300. Thane. I am so incredibly grateful and humbled. You don't even have to be here. You come, you support us so, so, so much. Incredibly heavy hands from the bush, from the moon, from the planets, wherever you are, and you pop in and pop out. I saw your comment. I'm just going to read it. What one does for a career is not who you are. The character staring back at you in the mirror when you are alone is. My mother was a wife and a mother first. So are most of the ladies where I'm from. So, ladies, don't listen to us. What do we know? But this community, you see it in the ticker. We are powered by men. We are supported by men. We are moderated by men. We love our men. We need our men. So, Thane, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, goodness. All right. Moving on to number 4. Question is, what has kept modern women from getting with a man in their prime years? I know this one. I know. Man, I'm very passionate about this one. You all, I'm a boy mom, 2 boys in high school, so I don't have daughters. So I have a heart for young women. And when I see them living their life like it's golden, like it's always going to be that way, my hair is on fire. I feel like I'm that crazy lady saying, iceberg, right ahead. I was just telling someone else today, I remember it vividly. I remember being young and having energy for days. I remember being able to do 10 things back to back, go from meeting to meeting, class to class, whatever it is. you naturally slow down, ladies. It's normal. And I think it's beautiful. I want to age gracefully. That's what I see in my mom. What I think women mistake is that the attention that they get in their prime, they think it's always going to be that way. Kevin often said this. He said, one of the saddest things to see, because you all know he did consults as well, is women that were that like adjustable 7 or 6, whatever it was, but the pretty, beautiful, and gorgeous, who had the phone ringing off the hook, who had those invitations, turning men down left and right. You all remember the Diane Carroll episode where he talked about women that were beautiful and had no reason that they should be alone in their later years. They didn't choose wisely when they had the leverage of their youth and beauty. Time happens to all of us. Life happens to all of us. So I am urging you, while you are young, choose wisely, because you don't want to be out here. They talk about outside. Believe me, they told me it was great outside. No. Divorced and got right back in a relationship. Since the divorce, I've been in another 12-year relationship. So I'm a relationship girl, but I will just say this. I think women think their current will be their future. And I think that is what is keeping modern women from getting with a man in their prime. So those are my thoughts. Lisa, I'm going to come to you. The question is, what has kept modern women from getting with a man in their prime years?
I love this episode. I watched this episode live, and if y'all watch it, I'm in the comments jumping up and down saying, "Preach, Kevin, preach," because what I think has kept them is kind of our media, what we watch, what we view every day, movies and stuff. I'm about to give y'all a list of movies that Kevin meant. Well, he mentioned one. My personal favorite since I was 5 years old when I remember watching it was The Color Purple. It's like one of the first movies I remember seeing. But when he mentioned it, I was like, oh my God, my favorite movie in the whole world, The Color Purple. But he's right. And I have a list of other ones. Set It Off, Living Single, that's the show. A Different World. Stella Got Her Groove Back. Waiting to Exhale. These are all shows that, most of us, my generation anyway, have grown up watching and looking at the stories. And even for someone who had an excellent father, role models, growing up, this was still in the back of my mind. And when I got out in the market, like I said, I was kind of hesitant because I was like, I had a couple bad relationships. And so I was starting to feel like some of these movies. But I still had my dad in my life to say, you know what? You got a good one right there. You better go on and get him. But my point is, even with a great father example in my life, I still had things in the back of my head based on these type of movies and shows that was giving me, the ideas. And they're not promoting us. They're promoting us to get the job, do all this. They're not promoting us to embrace the family and be that wife. They're telling us they just want us to join this factory or something. So I see that, and I'm like, gosh, is this some kind of conspiracy if you believe in those? But whatever it is, Kevin was right about it, and I was just like, it hurt me at first about The Color Purple, and I was like, this makes sense. It's so to answer this question, to me, it's a lot of what we take in every day. The Housewives and shows like this and whatever's I don't even know. I don't watch TV anymore, so I don't know what's out there now. But the 90s and the 80s and the 2000s, if you were taking all this in, then you're going to feel something come out of way about a relationship with a man. And I thought these were great examples that Kevin. So I was shouting to the rooftops on this episode. So for me, that's the answer.
All right, fantastic. Hermisha, I am coming to you. The question is, what has kept modern women from getting with a man in their prime years?
I like to watch people. I do it for a living. And what I've observed lately is a common thing. And I'm just sort of like, wow, this is becoming, this is a real thing. And then, just thinking clinically too, what I've seen is that a lot of us as women, what we're really trying to do, we're really trying to recreate the life or the family that maybe we didn't have. And it's really the little girl in us, because it's so like full of magical thinking. That's why we're so enthroned with Cinderella or all the Disney movies and the she finds the man comes and rescue her, right? And to one degree, it's very precious. It's very sort of innocence, right? But it can also be a detriment if the woman is sort of like moving in a childish way, in a sort of black and white type of thinking, all or nothing, where, well, I want to recreate that fantasy world and I'm going to stay out here until I get it. And then time continues to tick and tick and tick. And sometimes it's too late when the woman wakes up and realizes that, wow, wait, that's not really realistic. I have to, come back to earth, if you will. So that's what I would say. I'm noticing that there's this desire in us to, again, this is all subconscious. Sometimes we just want to, we want the fantasy. We're in the fantasy. We're in the fantasy world, essentially. And there's nothing wrong with wanting a man to love you and care for you and provide for you. But I think that if we're not balanced, we can have all these things on the list, and you wanna have a man meet all of this, and it's just the little girl in you that's just being black and white. And I think we just need to acknowledge that, give her what she needs, so that the adult in us can make the decision. Right now, it's the girl leading everything, and that's why she's like, I want 100%. I want all of it, all or nothing. And then you see what I'm saying? And so that's one angle I would put on it. That's what I've been observing. And there was another thought I had, but yeah, I'll just stay on that. I just think that we need to have the level of self-awareness to recognize when we're being unrealistic, essentially.
Absolutely. All right. And Lucy, I am coming to you. The question is, what has kept modern women from getting with a man in their prime years?
I think I agree with Ramisha. It's that Cinderella dream that they're always going to be Cinderella and the age is not going to catch them. Also, our men have made our lives in the modern world so easy that we think that we don't need them. So I go back to, in Nicaragua when the earthquake happened, how it was the men that were moving things around and keeping the wives and the kids aside. They were doing all the hard work. The hurricane, I've been to 2 hurricanes in Miami. The same thing. It was the men going out there doing the hard labor, moving things, getting things done, while the wives or the women in the house were cooking and taking care of the children. And, but they were the ones doing the hard stuff. I don't think women have been exposed to that type of hardship. They think that, they say that they want to be equal, but yeah, they want to be equal as the CEO. They don't want to be equal at an oil rig doing the same thing that these men have to do to get those oil rigs moving and getting that oil back. I mean, if you were to expose these young ladies to the real labor that men go through, I think that they would realize that, yeah, that this equality thing, I don't want it. I want the men to do the men thing, and I want me as the woman to be the wife taking care of the kids in an air conditioned space, not having to do the lawn or do the things outside when they do it because it's in them. They do it because they have to. So I think we've in modern world has been so easy for us women that we haven't been able to appreciate what the men do for us. And again, I'm an advocate for men. I put I thank God for my dad, my brother, my brothers-in-laws, the men that are around me, because I do see the incredible value that they provide for us. And we women take that for granted. So I think an easy world has made it easy for women to say that we can do it all.
So good, Lucy. All right, we're coming up on our last question. I'm going to drop the link if anybody wants to talk to us after this last round. You do not have to be camera on. You can keep your camera off and we'll just have your voice if you want to chime in. Or if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat with a Q and then I'll bring them up after we're done. I get so fired up about this. What Lucy just said about life being too comfortable. War in Ukraine, anyone? All it takes, Kevin used that pandemic example a lot. How many of our counterparts were at home protected and their men were out looking for paper products and whatnot? Ladies, life can change very, very quickly, but I get so passionate about this as a boy mom. I've got 2 teenage sons. They're probably going to take the military route. They may be blue collar. I don't know. One wants to be an architect, one wants to be a pilot. But when I think about what Kevin said about how men have to be, what is it, 10 years, heads down, eat what to make themselves, to even be worthy, to have a family. How many times did young men call into Kevin's shows in their 20s and he would say, it's not your time yet. Sit down, son. You haven't earned it yet. Men have to build themselves. And as a mom, because I don't have daughters, I only have boys, that really just makes me furious when I see women just kind of take men for granted. But we're going to come up on our last question. One other thing I do want to have a little bit of a tangent on with this episode. I believe it was this episode. You all know how Kevin was. He considered himself and a lot of his peers high value men. But one of the things that would really get under his skin is if you talk bad about the blue collar brothers. We did a whole episode on our blue collar brothers and the benefits they provide. Please go back and take a look at that. But do you all remember in this episode, or if you all watched it, there was a young lady who had a man and his business was some type of like home renovation. And she was in her 20s, in her prime, and she left this man because she thought the work that he did was boring. Painting and kind of renovating and doing something like that. She actually said, I just really didn't envision myself doing that. Little girl, do you know Sam Walden's wife? The founder of Walmart, I think she worked the register. How many huge companies started with a mom and pop beginning? How selfish. You're not going to be doing that forever. You build with a man when you're young so that who do you think is the first person he's going to want to sit down? I was so frustrated with that. But anyway, the last question we have. All right, number 5. Why have modern women chosen to work a job instead of work with a man? Well, the answer to this one, ladies, like Kevin said, we have been lied to. And it's not our fault. We were sold a bill of goods. But now that we have the information, when you know better, you do better. We were told that we can do everything that a man can do. You know what? For the most part, intellectually, yes. But do we want to? How many times did Kevin say, was it in Norway or Sweden when they took all of the gender requirements out of roles? Women naturally went into the like nursing and teaching and support jobs, and men naturally still went into the more engineering and physically demanding jobs. So I think, and I'll speak for myself, you know, the colleges, which are great, but they're businesses, have gotten so many women believing that these overpriced degrees, and I'm a student of academia, but that it's really going to matter. And we have to think critically about whose family are we making comfortable? Our own or someone else's? Someone in an ivory tower somewhere, someone in the C-suite somewhere. I think we've been lied to. So now that we have this platform and we're speaking out, hopefully people will take that information, ladies, especially while you have your youth and your beauty to leverage and do better. But that's why I think modern women choose that job, because they think it's going to satisfy them, but it never will, because it never can. All right, Lisa, I'm going to come to you. Why have modern women chosen to work that job instead of working with a man?
They've chosen it because, like you said, we've been lied to, and they haven't been given the example, like we said, of seeing what it like having a male role model in the household and stuff like that, and we don't have those examples being presented to us in media or wherever we're viewing stuff. So um, that's my take on that question. We just don't have. We were lied to, kind of like we're in the matrix. So we can get out the matrix, but other than that, and we just didn't have the example. But being here, you can decide and make a change. So that's what I have for that one.
Okay. Hermisha, I'm going to come to you, but we have Thane in the back, and I want to bring him up. Hermisha and Lucy, if you would wait just a minute. Thane, I am going to add you to the stream. You are here in audio, and let me just personally say thank you for being such a supporter of this community and this message. But, sir, you have the floor, please.
Hello, current, former, future wives. Hello, chat. Very nice to see you all. Love the color coordination. I decided to pull up just to say hi. Thank you for the hard work you're doing, Maggie. It is vital, it's needed in this space, in this day and age. There's a lot of things we can learn from exchanging ideas from each other. And with the advent of modernity and the disintegration of families, it is very, very important that we try to exchange these ideas and get to the root of the problems that are affecting our communities. I'm a firm believer in the nuclear family,
Mhm.
and the breakdown of the family has happened over time. Unless we do something actively to combat it, we are all collectively destroying ourselves. Your question I heard you ask before was, why have modern women chosen jobs? Because you were lied to. It's an agenda. You're just a commercial product. It is well known that, especially in the Western world, consumer decisions are predominantly made by women. I think what is it, to the 80th percentile? While men make the money, consumer based spending is decided largely by women. So the marketing is to women. But let's go back a little bit historically. I think it was late 60s when the disintegration of the family began. The whole push to have women join the workforce. Why? Governments figured taxing men is fine, but we need more revenue. How about we tax men and women? So having women join the workforce just meant that you're an additional taxable product that governments could be able to leverage. Enter the push for enter the feminism push. And don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm an egalitarian. Egalitarianism is just the belief that human beings are equal. I'm also a firm believer in gender roles. As human beings, we're both bilaterally symmetrical. We're all born the same, but we do have gender roles. We have different strengths and weaknesses. I, for one, do not, as a man, I'm not capable to have the absolute nurturing that a mother can provide. I cannot replace a woman. It will never happen. I have the fatherly instincts, but there's a softness a woman can provide that is vital to raising children. So we get misconstrued to think that we can provide both gender roles in society, and that is a misnomer. That is not the way we're biologically created. So as modern women have developed, you have the commercial successes, you have the educational exploits. It's very easy to forget that who you are as a person is not what you do, and that's one statement I made in um in chat, because I also come from a background of educators. My dad is a professor. He believes he's the most intelligent person in the world. The running joke in our family is professors are so intelligent, they believe their body is a means of transportation for their heads. The point is, being educated and being intelligent is good, but it's not who you are. I don't define myself by my career or what I do. Yes, the accolades that come with that. Who I am as a man is who I look at when I look in the mirror. Am I able to go to bed and sleep at night with a clear conscience because I've done good in the world? Or am I running around in the world portraying myself to be something else that I'm not? I see a lot of people who wear their titles around. I'm Dr. This, so and so that, so and so that. But at the end of the day, when we strip you down to the basis of a character, are you a worthy human being or are you found wanting? That is what matters. So, modern men and women, when you're running around with your big careers and have made your decisions, let's not be devoid as adults of understanding that your actions have got consequences. And I'll harken back to our elders who are wise. They figured these things out long time ago in history. Why are we trying to rewrite what has been known to be historically working solutions in the modern day and age? I can say I'm sympathetic, but I'm not. Because you should be cognizant and intelligent enough to understand the wisdom of your elders. There's this push to actually discard the wisdom of elders. I hear ladies like Lucasely and Maggie speaking. For me, it's normal. I come from an African background. We're very, very traditional. This is common sense. Maggie, you know what I'm talking about. It's common sense in culture. It's nothing new.
Yes,
But for
sir.
the Western world, it's just crazy that it seems like some people have never understood that. And that's why I also stated it is probably a very good thing with this avenues we have for education. Go to YouTube, study other cultures, figure out why Filipino are winning, figure out why Latina women are women, figure out why how other women are navigating the modern age, and maybe listen, adapt, and learn, or refuse to adapt. You know what happened to dinosaurs because they refuse to adapt? They're extinct. So the ladies who refuse to adapt in this modern day and age will be relegated to the wayside. But I'm actually confident and I'm happy because what I'm seeing is there are a lot of people now who, with their awareness, are questioning the status quo, saying, this ain't working for me. Uh-uh. You're telling me, sis, I need to move this way and that way, but you do not look happy. And before, nobody was paying attention to what men are saying. We men have always had these conversations. We have these conversations in the barber shop. But because we have now YouTube and these avenues, and there's the willingness to have discourse, you will hear from the men too. So it is a good thing. It is beautiful. I'm a firm supporter. I love you ladies' work. We're always watching. Might always have an opinion, but men are always watching. Everything you say, everything you do, how you carry yourself, all the missteps, even the breaking character, the flaws, we watch, we see, we remember. Most men have got memories like elephants. We'll remember what you said 7 months ago, but we'll never let you know, especially if we're evaluating you. That's all I have to say. I'm going to go back to being messy in the chat. But thank you for having me for this short moment.
Oh my goodness. If I had a mic, I would drop it. You all, would you please put Thane in the chat? You all know him. You all love him. We don't get to hear from him often, but he is always watching. I am so incredibly, incredibly grateful. But I'll just take a quick lap around. Lisa, did you want to say anything before we let Thane go?
Do we have a topic?
I was just wondering if you wanted to say anything to him. That's okay. Hermisha,
Oh
did
no,
you
but
want to?
thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
And Hermisha?
No, I just appreciate his words of wisdom and uh, correction, affirmation, all of it. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And Lucy, you know him well. Any words for Thane before he leaves us?
Mr. Thane Mithra, that's incredible to hear you speaking. It's just wisdom. You can hear the wisdom there, and you can tell that he has seen it and he's still watching and observing. And that's what men do. I can just imagine a lion just watching to see the gazelle that's going to make the mistake, and that's it. So yeah, thank you, Thane, for joining us. What a pleasure and what an honor to have you confirm that this effort is being heard, it's been listened to, and hopefully it's going to make a difference.
It does. Thank you for putting up with me on my short little soapbox moment. But we are always watching. That is actually true.
I think if there's anything to take away, ladies, you have heard it. The men are always watching. You are welcome here anytime. We are here because Kevin Samuel said, we can't do everything. Speaking as a man, we need the older women to teach the young, but we are here to hopefully get that message across. Thank you so much for everything, Thane. I appreciate it.
No, thank you very much. Your work is vital. Okay, I'll leave you ladies alone.
Oh, please. You're welcome to stay back. Okay. Wow, everyone, y'all. I'm a little bit like having a fangirl moment, but we're going to wrap up. I was going to come to Hermisha and then Luke Casey for the last 2 points. If anyone else wants to talk to us, again, you can be camera off if you just want to chat. If you have a question, you can put a Q in front of it and we'll take your questions after this. But Hermisha, I think we were coming up to you, and that last question was, why have modern women chosen to work a job instead of working with a man?
I mean, Thane just preached a sermon. I just feel like we should collect an offering. Sir, I have not met you, but thank you so much. Wow. But essentially, he's echoing what we're saying, and what, like he said, what the men have always said. We have been lied to. We have been lied to. The feminist movement, all the things we have been lied to. And going back to what I've also said about just this childish sort of disposition, trying to recreate this idealistic, trying to pursue the idealistic and being unreasonable, right? And in that situation, the little girl is leading rather than the woman. To the point, I think Rodney had a question on that. In that moment, the little girl is leading rather than the woman being balanced and measurable, to recognize, okay, that's actually, I'm in a fantasy. I'm in a fantasy world. Let me actually come back to reality and be more realistic and manage my expectations as I get off this market and make a choice and make a deal, right? So that's what I would say. Um, uh, why have modern women chosen to work, maybe work a job rather than a man? I think that it's sort of this, if I can't have 100% of what I want, it's almost like I can do bad all by myself mentality. And that's just very, very, ladies, very, very unhealthy. So we want to get out of that mindset and come back to reality, be measurable. And if you're having problems with sort of balancing expectations because of some other stuff, imprinting, reprogramming, do the work. We're here and all the things, but we are responsible to take accountability for even how we think about these things. So that's what I would say.
All right, thank you so much. And Lucy, last but definitely not least, the last question. Why have modern women chosen to work a job instead of working with a man?
I promise you, I didn't make it up. You talked about the lies. I have them here. We've been sold lies. And the 4 lies that I wrote here were that we've been sold the lie that we don't need men, that men and women are the same, or gender is a social construct, the biological clock isn't real, and a career is more meaningful than marriage and children. Those are the lies that have been told to us and the modern women for decades. And that is, I think that's called brainwashing. If you hear it over and over again, you start believing it and you start applying those thoughts to your life. And unfortunately, it has gotten us nowhere. We are seeing the results of those ideas um, illustrate now in the modern world. And it's not working for us. It is definitely not working for us. And I see Maggie's face. She probably just got an incredible um, Cash App. Um, but yeah, we've been sold lies. And for us ladies, we take the sweet lies very easily. The way they put them to us, the way they market them to us, we don't take the time to step back and say, wait a minute, is that working? How has that worked for the past 50 years? So I think that when you start hearing those ideas, it's important to be skeptical a little bit and do your research. Find out, is that really true? Is what they're telling me, is what the media or what the entertainment industry telling me, is that really working for us? And yes, we've been sold lies, and we need to start being a little more skeptical when we hear those sweet lies.
Sweet Lies, like the theme song. Wasn't that Kevin's theme song? Y'all know it. No, Good Lies. Was it Good Lies? Thane.
Uh-oh, what is it?
Thane. Thane says, we miss nothing. And again, $500.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Thane. I'm speechless, which is hard to do. I am so incredibly, incredibly, incredibly grateful. You come, you watch, sometimes without us even knowing. You support. Today, you graced us with your voice. We heard the wisdom, and I know West African, East African. Oh, I'm humbled. So incredibly grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Midasi, thank you. All right. So, oh man. Oh, wow. Thank you. Okay, ladies. So we have made it through our agenda. I don't see anyone else in the back. Yes, you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just thank you. Um, if you have a question, you can put a Q in front of it in the chat. If not, there were a couple things from this episode that I clipped that I want to just kind of talk about, and we'll do just a couple rounds, and then we'll let you all have your Friday evening. We know this is a holiday weekend. But a couple clips from this episode. I don't know if you all remember. So we talked about the one young lady who had the boyfriend with a renovation business, and she left him because she thought the work was boring. That was one. There was another young woman that he admonished, and I can't remember who spoke to this. Was it Lucy or Hermisha? But this woman was basically talking about being single, how she has to pay for everything, how she's realizing the value of a man. And he was tracking with her until the point that she said, oh yeah, I go out with my girlfriends. Remember, single women keep women single. So ladies, one of the things that Kevin said in this episode, if you want to work with a man, you need to make yourself not only available and approachable. And a lot of times younger women don't get this, but if you're with a gang of girls, think about it. It can be intimidating for a man to want to come through all those, side eyes and glances to talk to you. So I wanted to encourage, not only do you not need to have those, what did he call them, beta male orbiters, because that is taking up time. And I think it was Hermisha that was saying, or maybe whoever was saying, that you have your man tank is already full. It is okay to say, I don't want to be out here alone. I want to be selected. Pick me. So I just wanted to share that point. That was something that struck me from this episode. So as I'm looking in the chat, we'll take a quick lap around. So Lisa, I'm going to come to you. What would you say about women who either have a lot of male friends in their orbit or even single girlfriends around them? What advice would you give?
My advice would be, do what Kevin says. And even I've shared it before. When I found, well, When I found my husband, I went out purposely because I have two sisters and a whole bunch of friends at the time. I went out purposely, and we always go out together. We always go home together, safety first and all that. But I purposely went out by myself and to just to find, just to enjoy the vibe or whatever. And so happened I found my king. But it wouldn't have happened if I was with my sisters, giving people the side eye, like, who do you think he is? You know how you girls talk. You can't have them around you, and they are like they're a pack. Nobody wants to deal with all that, the attitudes, or trying to take them or whatever it may be. So Kevin was right on with that. So he was absolutely right, and y'all know he was right. Y'all know how you girls be. I'm gonna leave it there.
All right. So, Hermisha, I'm going to come to you. I know you talked about the man tank, but anything you want to say, anything else you want to say about having too many male friends or even our single girlfriends?
Yes, I mean, even to the single girlfriends, I mean, men, like Dane reminded us, men are watching. They're also watching who you're associating yourself with, because the mindset of your girlfriend, it's almost like guilty by association, right? You are the company that you keep, the type of thing. You know, I'm an extroverted introvert. I can connect with a lot of people, but I keep my circle small. It's like small, small. And I think that's wise for us as women to keep our circle small. There's a handful of women that I trust with my life, that even have access to my place and all the types of things. And they have a certain type of mindset, right? And so men look at that. Who does she associate herself with? What type of women are around her? Is she more influential to them, or are they more influential to her, if you will, right? Or is there sort of they're on the same page in terms of this growth mindset and discerning women, all the types of things, right? So I would say to that point, I think that's just as important. And then at the same time, on the other flip side of the talking about the male orbiter, like I said, I think that prevents a lot of women from really seeing this necessity of a man, because you got all these men around you. And for us as women, that's attention. That's filling our tank up, that emotional tank up. But it's not sustainable, and you're actually wasting time doing that, right? And I think it's also, one could argue, it could be devaluing yourself as well. Because if you know you're a wife, why you need all the attention from all these men? Men are watching that too. So I would say we just got to be discerning. We have to be aware, and we have to be mindful of the company that we keep, men or women.
I love it. All right, Lucy, I'm going to come to you on this one. Any thoughts in this episode or in general about women who have too many male friends, beta male orbiters, or even your single girlfriends?
Okay, you guys know how I feel about the single girlfriend. I don't like that concept because there's always, women, we can be catty. The single woman that could be looking to the side to your husband, wishing that maybe something happens between you and him. No, I don't like that. So, but I remember Kevin saying, I think he was talking about. Um, a woman bringing in somebody else's name in the relationship, and he said, do not invoke another man's name in your home. That was so powerful for me, because why would you want to bring in somebody else's idea of what works into your home? That was something that I put it in bold, I think, over here, because that was something that, wow, that's true. Why would you want to say something? Is it to hurt him? Is it just to compare how he's doing with the other person? That's just negative stuff. And I have heard it and have seen it happening in other relationships. How they bring somebody said, well, he did it better. How come you didn't do this for me? And that is so embarrassing. And that's so emasculating for the guy. So that is something that was impacting to me, listening to this entire show. He had so many other things. I remember one of the ladies, very well spoken. At the end, she started crying because it dawned on her what he was saying was true. And that's when you could hear in her voice that he's right. I got nothing on this one. So that's all I have to say on that.
All right, everyone. We are going to take one last lap and then we are going to close it out. Again, this episode of Kevin Samuel's Do Modern Women Need New Jobs? So powerful. But I'm going to take one final lap on what Lucy just said here about comparing your man to any other man. Even the pastor in this episode, Kevin talked about a pastor said, men don't want to hear that you take another man's word over theirs. They're the ones who have to provide and protect and, God forbid it, die for you. So, um, one of the lines that Kevin said in this episode, ladies, a lot of us don't realize that stress that we have from that big job, we bring it home. I got that feedback. My ex-husband said, I don't work for you. I didn't even know I was coming through the door like that. But that stress that we take on from the job and we come home, which we're supposed to build a safe, warm, and welcoming and nurturing home for our family, the men have to hear about another man in their home who has your time, deadlines, who has your attention, be here at 8 a.m., who has your, basically, he's competing with another man. They don't like that. I never thought about it that way until Kevin said it. He doesn't want to hear, your man does not want to hear what your boss's expectations are of you. They don't like that pressure on you because Kevin said in this episode, it's pressure that I didn't put there as the man. So my woman is dealing with something that I can't help her with. And if you know anything about the nature of men, they're problem solvers. They want to fix it. So just be mindful of that. Again, there's nothing wrong with education. There's nothing wrong with working. But I've made the change in my later years. Like Thane told us, I have said at work, this job is not who I am. This job is what I do. So be very intentional about the type of roles that you take so that the work that you do is underneath the role that you have for your family. So that's the last thing that I'll say. Those of us that are corporate can get caught up in that. Those promotions, those bonuses. You think you're really making a difference? They will replace you just like that. So that's the last thing I'll say about the jobs, and then we'll take one last lap and close out. So Lisa, what else would you like to say as far as these big jobs and the stress that it brings at home?
Well, I've talked about the big jobs before. They let you go. You think it's a career, it's just a job. And if you don't take, like for me, I realize if I could not go to the job, I'm calling in or I'm doing something because I don't want to be there. I don't want to deal with that. And I don't want that stress. I enjoy that money, but I don't want to be there. So if that's the way you look at your job, or sometimes you feel like I don't want to be there, I could be doing something else with my time. And so then it's just a job. Um, what's I gonna say? The one thing I did want to talk about before we go is that young lady that was like my boyfriend or something. He was a realtor or house builder or whatever he was doing, and she was like, I'm bored. It was hard work for me, and like Maggie said, she was a she if she would have stayed with him, he was in his early. They were young. They were like fresh out of college or something. But she has the energy to do that. That's why Kevin said, "You're lazy. What's wrong with you? Why wouldn't you be working? You just want to sit at home. You don't have any kids." Now she didn't realize that, and I don't know if she got it. Hopefully she's got it now. But I mean, if you're not doing anything, then what do you have your youth and your energy for? Because I can tell you, at 44, I had all that youth and energy back then, and I wish I had it now with this 5-year-old, but I don't. But I don't want her to be my age trying to still find a man. So I felt for her, but I also was like, you need that slap. You need to be embarrassed and put in your place. And I hope she got it. And I live for those young ladies who come on there and get that talking to. Hopefully they realize it and they can come back and say, you know what, he was right, or I needed that. So if you're out there, young lady, we'd love to hear from you. That's all I got.
Absolutely, yes. If you all were ever on a Kevin Samuels show and you want to update us, please let us know. All right, Hermisha, as we close out, anything you want to say about these big jobs and the stress it causes at home?
It's not worth it. Let it go. Put in your resignation, sign on the dotted line, and say toodles. Really, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And the other point I would say is, where your daddy? Where's your daddy at? Where's your father? because I think that a lot of us as women, as one raised by my father, you know, I know the next one, you guys got to go to him. If he say no, sorry. We need the men in our lives helping us to choose better, helping us to navigate this because we don't know how to do it clearly. And so I would say on that point as well, turn in your resignation, hire your father as a matchmaker, and get on down the aisle.
Isn't that what Kevin said? Get on down the path. All right, Miss Lucy, any final thoughts on these big old jobs and the stress they cause at home?
I absolutely agree with all of you ladies and Ramisha, especially when she says, turn in your resignation. If you have a man that is telling you, leave your job, come work at home, that's all you need. Let it go. It's great. You will see that, feel that pressure off your shoulders, and you're going to make it, you're going to just appreciate the life, the peace that he provides to you at home while you're making you're having your duties, your working as the wife of the home that he's giving you. And I remember I wrote, because I was taking notes. I'm a note taker. I don't know if you've noticed, I take notes everywhere. So he said, What's left of you, what's left of you after a job is a husk, a shell where a woman used to be because you are drained. Next thing you know, after your career gets you in the danger zone. So let's young ladies, let's not be husks. Let's not be hollow shells, and just trust that the man in your life is wanting the best for you. And everything in our lives should come second to our husbands and our men.
I could not agree with you more. All right, you all, we are going to close out. Thank you all so much. Most importantly, thank you, Thane, not only for being generous, but generous with your words and coming up here and reminding us, as only you can, that this work is so important. Quick little housekeeping for you all. If you're new here, the Wives Club is with you every Friday, usually 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. AV's got a, speaking of jobs, she said it was okay to share. She's changing jobs, so she needed a little transition time, but she is back with us next week, AV and her soundboard. We hope that you all have a wonderful holiday. I will close out giving you the update on the watch hours. Sometimes you all ask. We are at 3,878 watch hours. So it takes 4,000 to be eligible for monetization. So hopefully it'll happen very soon. We will have a celebration party for you all. And thank you for the support, whether you watch live or you watch the replay. So we will close out. I saw one question, and we will close with the question from our near and dear, the Quiet Storm. He says, what was one thing that you learned during this stream that you didn't know before this stream? I think what I've learned, and Thane said this, ladies, not only are the men always watching, because we kind of knew that, but Thane said the men are always listening. And what we say, even from months ago, if they are vetting us, they will listen and they may never say a word. So choose wisely, and I would say speak wisely too. That's what I learned. All right, Lisa, what about from you? What was one thing that you learned during this stream that you didn't know before this stream?
I didn't know what Thane's voice sounded like, but it sounded awesome. I loved it. I was so intrigued. I'm sorry. I loved his voice. I was like, is he God? I don't know. That's where I believe it.
Okay, no problem. Yes, definitely has that Mufasa energy. Okay, Hermisha, the question was, as we close out the night, what was one thing you learned during this stream that you didn't know before the stream?
You know, I would say one thing I'm learning to realize more and more is that as a former wife, for all the former wives out there, that I actually did win. You know, part of my healing on the other side of this has been, you know, recognizing that It wasn't necessarily a loss. I got off the market. That's a win. And I got 2 gifts as a result, right? So, ladies, a lot of y'all are fearing choosing wrong or whatever the situation. Get off the market. So, I would say, as we're talking about moving like your hair's on fire and working for a man, all the things and all those things we're talking about, uh, you win when you get off the market, essentially. So I don't know. That's what I'm sitting with, if that makes sense. I'm just sort of recognizing that more and more.
It all makes sense. And lastly, Miss Lucy, was there one thing you learned during this stream that you didn't know before?
I learned that you guys are amazing ladies and that you are working for one specific goal. And that goal is to get the younger generation to understand that it's okay to be a wife, to be a mother, and to keep, a peaceful family life. Um, it's also Friday nights. I'm gonna miss them because this is my my night that I'm saying goodbye to us because Avi is coming back. We miss her. It was hard to fill those shoes, so it's gonna be beautiful to watch her. Take her due place, and that we have a lot of support from again from those that join us every Friday night.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you all so much for being here. We will see. Oh, Thane, he says, it's not subjugation to be off the market. 'Tis a win. And I will say it again and again. Ladies, you do not need a hot girl summer. Have that hot girl summer. Have a hot wife summer. I was going to say, have that hot girl summer with your husband. All right. Well, until next time, be safe. Enjoy your holiday. If you celebrate wherever you are, we will see you all back here in the Wives Club. Until next time, bye everyone.